So we want to say hello. We look forward to getting to know each and every one of you. And Dan said some nice things about us in his introduction, but we've known Dan for quite a while. We've followed Dan as well, especially on social media. It makes that really easy to do in today's world. And we've always wanted to do something together. And as Dan was reaching out to us and talking about this new rewards program and talking about the travel side of what was in place, with our background over 10 years, tens of thousands of people, we've helped check off amazing bucket list experiences around the world. We thought this would be a really great fit for us to all kind of come together, be a part of the Xcelerate family, and go like travel around the world. And it was one particular story that really had us say yes to working with Dan. We were on a phone call and he told this story. I'm sure he's told it on a few Zooms before, where the very first time he got off a plane and saw the palm trees and saw the beach in Florida, and how like that changed his thought process on what was possible around the world, and has now traveled a whole bunch. And it was that story of remembering like the first time I saw the beach, the first time I saw the Caribbean turquoise blue water, the first time I saw Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, or you can see on the pictures here when we saw the pyramids. It was just such an amazing, life-changing experience, every single one of them. And we're very excited to be able to be here with each and every one of you. And Dan was talking about like our consistency of travel. The reason I wanted to kind of spotlight the video is my shirt says I love travel. My hoodie says I love travel. Katie has a button on that says I love travel. We have shared coffee mugs that say I love travel. And so if any of you here on this Zoom, if you love travel, I want you to type I love travel in the chat box, right? Let's just get it out there. Let's get the flow going. Let's talk about all these wonderful things. And I'm going to turn it over to Katie to do a little bit more of our backstory, and then we'll talk about our first rewards trip that's coming up.
Hey everybody, so it's great to be here again. Thank you, Dan, for having us, and thank you, Michael, for that amazing introduction of just how excited we are to be here. So I am excited to meet you via the screen. So the reason that I am going to share a little bit about our story is I'm sure you've heard it before, but we share our story so that we inspire you to write yours. And that's what this rewards program is all about you writing your story so that you can have amazing pictures like this all around the world. And there's a trick to jumping over the pyramids that we will share with you. So we've got a couple of tricks up our sleeves on how we get these amazing pictures all over the world, but we're excited to maybe help in helping you create some memories like this as well. So a little bit about our story, like Dan said, we did meet on vacation. We actually met in Cancun, Mexico at the airport stand or the taxi stand at the airport going to an all-inclusive resort. We actually dated on vacations. Our fourth date was 9 days in the Dominican Republic. We got engaged on vacation. And then when we got married, we did, as you see in the pictures, say I do in 21 different countries or 14 different countries all around the world. And our wedding vows actually said to have, to hold, and to travel around the world. And that's exactly what we have done. So that's a little bit about our story, but what's more important is what you're going to do with yours. And the reason we were able to do any of that and all of that is only because of residual income and the multiple streams of income that Dan was talking about earlier. And the reason that many of you, I'm sure, have joined this amazing company because you want that freedom, not only the time freedom to do these things, but also the money freedom in order to afford to do these things as well. So super excited about this first trip that's coming up. And I'm going to let Michael tell you all the details as we know them now before they're officially launched for you to book this first rewards trip.
All right. Thank you, Katie. All right. So Dan, if you'll move on to the next slide for us, that would be great. All right, so the very first rewards trip that we are launching here with Xcelerate Rewards is going to be a Royal Caribbean upgraded cruise leaving out of Miami, going to Nassau, Bahamas, and Royal Caribbean's private island, Coco Cay. Now, the cruise is going to be October 25th to October 28th. And I got to tell you, all these conversations we've had with Dan back and forth about doing an all-inclusive resort, this destination, maybe a cruise. We decided on a cruise for several reasons. One, it's an amazing experience. It's like a city floating around the Caribbean. If you've never been on one, we are excited for your first cruise. But another reason is because Dan has particularly sailed on this ship. Now, we love Royal Caribbean as a brand. There's a bunch of great cruise lines out there, but Royal Caribbean has some amazingly spectacular, unique specifics about their brand. And Dan, if you're cool coming back on and just telling a quick little bit about your experience on the Allure of the Seas. I know we have a slide talking about all the features and benefits, but I'd love for everybody to hear from you about this amazing ship.
Yeah, so our first experience with these are called the Oasis class ships, was with actually Oasis of the Seas, Allure of the Seas, older brother. And so one of the amazing things about this ship is it has a central park. Allure of the Seas and Oasis of the Seas both, they have a central park area that is very, very unique to cruise ships. It has an open area, as you can see in the background, where they have carousels, they have ice skating rink. They have basically a water park in the water park area, tons of restaurants, just like a normal rock climbing walls, miniature golf. I mean, literally so many things I had never seen before on a cruise ship. It's super, super exciting. Whether you want pizza 24 hours a day, you want ice cream 24 hours a day, or you want to have some fine dining somewhere, this cruise ship has it all. I love Royal Caribbean because most of all of their ships are high end or a higher end experience. I've been on tons and tons of cruises, been on all the different cruise lines, or the majority of them, and I always go back to Royal Caribbean because of just the way that they handle things, their condition of their ships. And even though this particular ship was their maiden voyage was in 2010, I just was on this ship a few months ago, and it still looks just like it did when it first started sailing, when the first time I sailed on it years and years and years ago. So love this ship. It's a great experience. I know if this is going to be your first cruise, it's going to spoil you. You're not going to like some of the other cruise ships after this. But if you've been on other cruises that weren't an Oasis class, this is going to be pretty impressive.
Yeah, 100%. And another thing about the dates, we really wanted to take into consideration people's schedules, people's lives, people's budgets. And so this trip is going to be a Friday to a Monday. So it actually sets sail Friday at 4 p.m. and arrives back on Monday at like 6 or 6:30 a.m. So less days off from work, more time to have some fun. And so as you look here about the ship, right, there's 18 total decks. I want you to think about this. This one ship, 2,000 crew, 2,700 staterooms. And even though that sounds like a lot, 5,400 guests, it's really interesting. You never really feel like you're really crowded on there. There's so much space. There's so many things to do. And in a 4-day, 3-night trip, you probably won't even explore the entire ship. You'll be looking around, trying to find all these things and having the time of your life. It's going to be such an amazing experience. So Dan, next slide, please. And so one of the, we'll call it a port or an excursion or an activity, is Royal Caribbean owns their own island. It's called Coco Cay. And Dan has been there several times. I remember following on Facebook and liking pictures when he's in the private cabana, like overlooking the turquoise blue water of the Bahamas. And so there's going to be an amazing day, which we'll talk about in just a second, on Coco Cay, where we will all be able to be together at one of the private beaches called Hideaway Beach. And then if you've never been to the Bahamas, this is a bucket list for some people. So we'll be porting in Nassau, which is an incredible city. There's things to do just right off the ship. You don't even have to do formal excursions, but then there's a ton of activities that will be available to you. And so here comes, I would ask everybody to do a drum roll. We wouldn't be able to hear it while we're on Zoom, but if we do a kind of a virtual drum roll, we'll go to the next slide. And we'll talk about this trip. Now, one of the benefits of being an Xcelerate Rewards member or an Elite member, which includes your rewards membership, I will tell you, having an owner of a company like Dan who said, I want the best experience, I want the best thing for my members, I want it to be at an incredible price. The things that Dan and Xcelerate have included into this trip is virtually unheard of, especially in the network marketing travel world. So 4 days, 3 nights, all the cabins are ocean view balcony cabins. So Dan particularly chose, like, I know we could do inside, we can do ocean view, but we want people to have this luxury, like spectacular experience. And part of this, because keep in mind, this could be one of the biggest business building tools that you have. The pictures, the photos, the videos, the lives, the experiences, the stories that you'll be able to tell. This one trip could help fuel your business for years and years and years. And we're going to be talking about strategies, as Katie talked about, like how we jumped over the pyramids and capture some of these photos. We're going to be doing some social media training, like how to really take advantage of this trip to help enroll new members, to enroll new affiliates, to upgrade people, to sell more products, to get more people to join your team. So this one thing could be a great business building tool for you as well. So that's one of the reasons why we chose all ocean view balcony cabins. They're all the same category. They're all on the same deck. Now, some of them are kind of right next to each other. Some of them are a few steps away, but on the deck, there's a bar right in the middle of the ship. So it's going to make it easy for everybody just to kind of come together for fun little stories, little masterminds, little get-togethers. So there'll be a luxury suite. It's I believe it's a two-story suite that overlooks, you know, the ship and the ocean. And there's going to be a luxury meet and greet with strawberries and champagne that everybody's going to be invited to. You'll be able to use the suite during the day. There'll be Xcelerate swag. When we're in Nassau, Dan was like, hey, you know, we could do an excursion together, but we're going to be on Coco Cay, and we'll talk about that with the private cabanas. But let's just give everybody cash. Like, here's cash to go buy lunch, or keep the cash in your pocket. And we talked about for the budget travelers, like, you get off the ship with your buffet like sandwich that you made in your purse or in your bag, and just keep the $50 and use it for whatever you want. So again, another contribution to you. And then on the Coco Cay day, they have, it's a private island. They have all these different little sections on the island. And there's an area called Hideaway Beach. It is an adults only area. And they have these private cabanas. Now, with the number of rooms and the number of people that we have set up for this group, we're basically almost going to take over an entire area of the cabanas. So we'll talk more about this moving forward, but there'll be the standard cabanas. We may run some promotions for an upgraded cabana experience. So it's going to be a really, really, really unique experience, really, that you can't even go to an Expedia, or you can't go to some online service and book. You actually couldn't even go to Royal Caribbean themselves and book an all-inclusive package like this. And when we see the price of $699 per person based on double occupancy, right? When we think about the Xcelerate International model of great products for less, I can assure you the price that Dan is offering this to you is a discounted rate off of, if you were to put all this stuff together, it is a significant, significant savings. And so as we kind of wrap this up, a few things just to kind of remember. This will be the first of many, right? We've seen in the Facebook group the different bucket list places that people have been suggesting, and we're going to be putting together more trips, some small, some big, some adventure, some chill, some spa, like you name it. The possibilities are endless. This is going to be for the members, by the members, and from people who love travel, right? We're going to be able to help put this together for what's best for you guys. So Dan, we are very, very, very excited to be here with you, helping to launch the Xcelerate Rewards program. It's an honor. We're grateful that you reached out to us, and we're very excited to be partnered with you and get to know everybody